Good morning. Happy to see you again. We are continuing the journey in the path of self knowledge. Yesterday we saw about how the mind is made up of all this conditioning, attachments, identifications, and so on. They form the major basis. In fact, we can go to the extent of saying that we are imprisoned in various cells inside the mind. Each cell has got a connotation. One cell is a religion, other cell is a language, the third cell is a caste, the fourth one is a philosophy, economic philosophy, another one is a society, and so on. So we have imprisoned ourselves without our knowledge, and these cells do exist, and then they only guide you throughout the life. We do not make any conscious attempt to come out of these cells because we feel secure. We feel secure in the sense that if I continue in a particular cell, now I have company. I have lots of people who can be with me and support me in lakhs. So that gives us a very high false sense of security. Because as I said, man is basically afraid to be alone. Alone in the sense, not in the sense of outer world, but also in the inner world. In the inner world, he is afraid of being alone. That is not attached with any identifications. If there are no identifications, then the mind will be naked. And that naked mind is an innocent mind. And that is part of the cosmic mind. A mind which is naked is one which all of us should desire. That is how we came into this world, and that is how we should live, and that is how we should go. Finally, without carrying any mental luggage, unwanted desires, unfulfilled desires. So, to have a naked mind is one of the top achievements, we can say, in the field, in the psychological field, which will enable you to live a life of fulfillment and happiness. Fulfillment and happiness. Now, this fulfillment and happiness can come to a man who earns about, say, 10,000 rupees a month, or to a man who earns about 5 crores a month. They are not related. They are not related at all. If at all we look at it, the man who earns 5 crores in a month should be the most happiest man, the most fulfilled man. But does it happen like that? It doesn't happen. At the same time, man with a 10,000 rupees a month with income may be more happier and more fulfilled than the other man. It happens. It happens. So, the psychological satisfaction comes not out of material possessions or in financial accumulation, but making the mind devoid of all your identifications, desires, likes and dislikes. Now that is what we are going to see now for the today's video. What are the other components which make the mind strengthened and enable us to do what we are doing now? As I said, apart from the conditioning and identifications, there are other things. You see, like we have our own desires, The desires are multifold. The desires are numerous, and each one has got a sort of selective approach for each and every desire. A man may desire a good food, while there may be people who do not care much about the food. A man may desire to be with the nature all the time, but a man may desire to live with material possessions in a concrete jungle. That is where he will say he finds his happiness. A man may desire to have all the time a jovial outlook, while there are people who are always serious and who are always looking at the most strict things of the world, the most virtuous things of the world, and make themselves miserable in the process. That's why, see, the desires can be multifold. Some people may want a car, some people may want a house, some people may want sort of education, power, positions, or they may like to engage themselves in sports activities. So many things are there. So the desires are multifold. And even eating also, if you prefer a vegetarian food or a non-vegetarian food, there also a desire is there. Now, most of the people in the world go for a non-vegetarian desire, and the vegetarian people are very not as large as the non-vegetarian people. There the basic thing is a desire coupled with a taste. So there they go about looking for satisfying their desire. And we know that in the process, a lot of things happen in destroying the nature, a natural order. There is a natural order in the world, but we contribute by satisfying our desire for or a meat or something. We disrupt the natural world. The order of the nature is disrupted because we don't allow animals to live their full quota of life. That is a disruption, isn't it? Where that disruption takes place, it is because of the desire. So the desire which is entrenched in your mind is capable of disrupting the entire nature. But many do not know the consequences, but in essence it happens. If I desire to have a meat-based food, I disrupt the order of the nature. As simple as that. So desires can take an unimaginable form by which the atmosphere in the society is spoiled, because we are bent on satisfying our own desire. So desires is another brick in the construction of the mind as a whole. There are numerous desires and there are numerous bricks on each and every field. And there are likes and dislikes. There are likes and dislikes, because the desire is something is to take possession of it. There is a desire to fulfill or satisfy your taste or something, or satisfy your senses, sensory organs. If you want to go and see the movie, I want to go and see a movie means I want to satisfy by my sensory organ, to see something and become happy because of that. I see a movie, I become happy, and how I just look at the movie and then enjoy it. That's all. So the sensory organ through which the satisfaction occurs is a cause for happiness, for that momentary happiness. So satisfying the desires through the sensory organs also is another part. The ears would like to hear a beautiful music. It is not the ears actually. Actually, to tell the truth, it is the mind which wants to listen to the beautiful music. So that is a desire. But for a desireless man, good music comes both from a good musician as well as a noise, because noise also is a music. It's only the vibration of sound waves, and the sound waves are different. That's all. Something is pleasing to the ears, which is, this is not pleasing. So that apart from this identification, the desires take place, and the likes and dislikes, these are also become part of the mental activity. The psychological mind is built up of identification, likes and dislikes, the desires, and also the emotions. Now, emotions by themselves do not find a place in the mind, because it is difficult to identify a particular emotion and make it to come out of it, or you cannot recall an emotion alone. Can we recall an emotion alone? Suppose if I say, suppose somebody says, okay, can you be angry for about 1 minute or 2 minutes or 5 minutes? Can you be angry? Then what we are supposed to do is to recall the emotion of anger and show yourself as angry for a minute. You can show it, but that is only an act. That is only an act. And that also cannot continue forever. You can act for 1 minute or 2 minutes or 5 minutes. That's all. After that, you have to come to the normal state. So what I mean is, the anger, which is a negative emotion, cannot be invited by us on its own. If I say, okay, just I want to be angry, means I cannot become angry. If I have to be angry, then there has to be a provocation. Somebody has to provoke you. Somebody has to criticize you. Somebody has to blame you. If that happens, then you become angry. And at that time only, when somebody criticizes me or somebody blames me, at that time the inner emotion of anger comes out. Because the anger doesn't come out by itself. When somebody says a very bad word about us, now that word makes an impression in my mind, and the mind identifies that it is a derogatory word. That word told by the other person is a derogatory word. That is what the mind finds out and tells us. And when the mind tells it is a derogatory word, immediately the emotion attached with that particular derogatory word will come to the front. That is how the emotion takes place. An emotion of anger, an emotion of fear, an emotion of vengeance, an emotion of jealousy, all these negative qualities, or even sexual feelings, all these things can come out only when a corresponding happening or an incident or a memory is attached with that. Only if it is, then both come together. The memory comes along with the emotion. Then only you become angry. The anger by itself does not come directly to make you angry. It cannot come. There is no way of coming out at all. Even if it comes out, it is only a question of you are acting for the purpose of external world. You may do some action. So you pretend to be angry. That is an act. You pretend to be angry. So these emotions come out of the mind only when somebody stimulates you by provoking you. And the anger comes even otherwise. Suppose if something happens which is not to your liking, then you become I'm sorry, I'm very sorry. So when somebody says or stimulates or provokes, then I become angry. The provocation makes me angry. Or by myself I am not angry at all, I am normal. But the anger is there inside. So when somebody doesn't listen to you, or he fails to obey you, or he doesn't do whatever you want him to do, then you become angry. there is a failure, then you become angry. Whatever you do, you fail, it fails. Then you become angry, or you may become miserable, that is different. But you also become angry. Why it has not happened according to the way I wanted? You become angry. You start blaming others. You start blaming the God also. See, that is how it happens. So the anger is not self-originating. Unlike a thought which comes out of the psychological mind, the anger, the fear, all these negative emotions do not come by themselves. They are not self-originating at all. It cannot come out without our consent. Only when we give a consent, it comes out. But the thoughts are not like that. The thoughts will come without your consent. This is the difference we should understand. This is a difference because they all come from the psychological mind. They come only from the psychological mind, both the thoughts as well as the emotions. Isn't it? The intellectual mind does not have any participation here at all. The thoughts wise or the emotion wise. No emotion is attached to your knowledge. The memory bank where the knowledge is stored, there is no emotion at all. There is no negative qualities. There are nothing. It is pure fact. So when you recall that particular knowledge, it comes and helps you and goes back without leaving any trace of emotion at all. So it doesn't cause any harm. It doesn't cause any conflict in the society. The conflict is a major point in the society, isn't it? Between persons, between states, between nations, between persons, or even within the family. The conflict is a major point. And why does it happen? Because our psychological mind is different from the other person's psychological mind. As we saw, the psychological mind is made up of when we grew up, all the psychological mind was built up according with the recordings, memories of incidents and happenings and all that. They continuously get recorded and they are there. And along with that, the emotions, the negative emotions are all stored there. That is how they are. That is the psychological mind. That only operates. Intellectual mind, whenever it required, it comes and helps and goes back. So essentially, now this mind, psychological mind, which has grown to this size because of the storage of memories and which guides us all the time throughout the day, why should it guide us to do things which are not correct? Who does it? Now at least, now we know there is a psychological mind, there is an intellectual mind. Psychological mind is the one which has got all the experiences and you know that, everything. Now that is the mind which sends you the thought. About 16,000 thoughts are coming out, it seems, in a day by itself. Let it be. So the thoughts come out and we jump on the thought and then we carry out the work. So that many times it causes conflicts and contradictions. Sometimes they click. So this is how it happens. Then what should we do? What should we do? How to handle this psychological mind? Because as we said, that mind only creates all conflicts in the world. So there has to be some way to find out as to how to avoid this. There are ways. We were saying earlier that the lakhs and lakhs of information stored in the memory bank from our childhood, they have been deleted. They are not alive. They are deleted. However much we recall, we will not be able to recall them at all. However much effort you put and try to think or recall, you cannot. You cannot recall what is already deleted. That is a basic gift that is given by the Creator, that the mind gets its own old memories and all deleted by itself. It's a self-cleaning system of the mind. Self-cleaning system, automatic. It cleans. Otherwise, what will happen? Now, see, we delete messages in our mobile. We do some things, then only we do give some command, then only the message gets deleted. So you go on deleting one after another. It consumes so much of time. But the body, the mind, has got a system by which the unwanted messages are deleted. Whether they are unwanted or wanted, they get deleted because if you are not in a position to recall them at all, they get deleted. By that, the workload also comes down for the mind because it doesn't need to carry all that luggage. So if a mind has to be cleared of these memories and thoughts are to be avoided, because we would have seen, or if you have not seen, let us go about it, because these thoughts are the one which are like waves of the ocean, which comes and all that, and which cannot be true also. Because the thoughts come out of the memories. So the memories are recordings of the happenings, incidents, experiences. Now these thoughts and these memories and all that, they vary from person to person. One person's experience about an incident will be different from the experience of the same incident to the other person. And there will be thousands of persons. So each will have its own experience, and that experience only will get stored in the particular person's mind. So the outlook of the person who has got a different recording, impression, it will be different from the other person. That is why we say all the psychological minds of persons are different, totally different from each other. They cannot be similar. Very rarely it becomes. Otherwise, it is made up of how the person has been brought up in the life. So all the incidents which happen are recorded according to the circumstances and situation in which that person was there. So it cannot be the same for all the persons all the time. So you cannot have a uniform approach for all the psychological mind at all, because everybody has got his own measurement. Everybody has got his own assessment. And that is how the memory gets stored, according to his own assessment. So effectively, we can come to a conclusion that all the psychological minds are false. Why I am saying false is, anything is true, anything is a reality, then it should be the same for all the people. And all the people should accept it and take it. Yes, this is mine. This is my mind. I accept it. Will they accept? Nobody will accept. Everyone is prone to say that what I think, that is my mind. What I think is correct. That is, my mind is correct. You are not correct. That is how they will behave. So in that case, what happens? There are thousands, lakhs and lakhs of minds in the world. They act according to its content and consumption. Conflict. And our attachment to those conditions, as we saw, they also create another conflict. And our attachment to the tastes and likes and dislikes, our whims and fancies. Each one has got a whim and a fancy. We would have obviously seen everywhere, because even if we go out and select some products, the product will be selected according to his own mental makeup. So he has got a fancy. Everyone has got a fancy. The mind is after fancy. The mind does not want to be united with other people at all. So each one has got the same whims and fancy. So according to that only it can be done, the work can be done. So the mind, which is made up of all this, has to be somehow brought to a situation where they do not exert any influence on you. And the mind exerts influence only through the thoughts which emanate out of the mind, the memory. And the thoughts continuously come out of the mind. And the thoughts and the reactions. You see, when somebody asks you something, immediately you react. Now, where does that reaction comes from? It comes out of your memory. Because when he talks about a particular matter, your memory has got that particular matter as recorded, and from which only you speak. So it becomes different from person to person. Each mind has got a different, separate recording with a content. So each one responds in a different way. But suppose if we do not respond, basing on my memory, if I do not react basing on my memory, then what happens? Then there is no way I can make a judgment about the other person. I will not make any judgment about the other person at all. I will not make any judgment about any particular object or happening or an incident. I will not make a judgment because I kept my the mind as sort of free from attachment. I have come out of the imprisonment of that particular matter. You take religion, if I start dealing with the people and behave in the society also that I am not attached to a religion, any religion, with a firm conviction that I am not attached to any religion, then how your reaction will be in case of religious matters with other people? You will be neutral. You will not take any sides at all. And you will further find out what is the truth is, what the reality is, and which is rare. That is the advantage. That is the advantage. If you function with a naked mind, a mind which is bereft of all recordings, let them be there. Do not give any importance to them at all. If at all you have to deal with a particular situation, if at all you have to deal with a particular person, what you have to do is you have to dispense your mind, dispense from your mind all the memories regarding that particular person or an incident, and deal with him in a fresh manner, as if the operation is taking place for the first time. That way, a mind which is clean, without any the past legacies, without the past histories, will be a more reformative and a creative mind, which will not entrust itself, which will not entrust itself in making a judgment or criticizing. That is possible with a naked mind. And that naked mind is possible only because of an absence of memory recordings in the mind. Now, absence cannot happen because the memories are stored. So, how do you go about discarding the mind? And what process? How can we go? We can do that. That is what the masters have advised us. This has already been told also, but now let us have it in straight from the horse's mouth, straight. If you do not want your psychological mind to enable you to do any action or make any speech, then what you should do is you should not to do anything. That is, you should not do anything with that particular memory, which in turn comes out as a thought. The memory by itself is there, stored there, but the thought comes out of that memory. That if you are not taking it in your hands, if you are not living with that memory thought, if you are not doing research with that particular thought memory, then they will go by themselves. They will go by themselves out. This can be tested also. If you do not give any importance to the thought which comes out of the psychological mind, and if you do not touch it, if you allow it to die by itself, and if you do not give any fuel to it, then your mind will be happy. You will not have any negative emotion in your mind. You will not have any urge to do any cunning things or blame others or criticize others, nothing of the sort. Because your mind has become to that extent innocent. So the innocent mind only is going to play a very large role in the path of self-knowledge, and we should be able to attain that path. We should be able to travel in that path. The only goal is to destroy your mind. If the destruction of the mind takes place, then it will be a return to the paradise. Let's see tomorrow. Thank you very much.